really big on the whole law of attraction. Kind of, what's that book? The Secret.
Yeah.
Didn't read the whole book, but the premise of it is the law of attraction, and we attract what we are, what we want, put it out there into the universe, and blah blah blah. And the thing with the law of attraction, I think some people tend to think of it as like it's like a genie. Like if I just think about something enough and I want it, it's going to be for me.
It's going to appear.
And then when it doesn't, then people don't believe in the law of attraction. Like, this shit doesn't work. I thought about this, big screen TV all year. And,
big screen TV.
Come Christmas, I got some socks,
Right.
So it's like, but I think that, and it's almost like prayer. Like, God is not your genie. You don't just pray for stuff and, it comes, and if it doesn't come, then it's like you don't believe. It's more like, I think God answers all of our prayers, but sometimes the answer is no.
Right.
And so this whole law of attraction thing we're talking about people, but it's also just about being ready and being prepared. And I think that's the part that people leave out because it requires work.
Yeah.
And everybody's lazy. You want to be able to pray or think about something.
And then go about your business.
Yeah, but
never doing the work to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the part that's hard. That's the part that's challenging. That's the part where you have to be consistent, where you have to show faith. Whatever you believe is, if you believe is faith in God, where you have faith in whomever or whatever. It doesn't have to be a specific being, but you have to have faith that it's going to be. But part of it is just being ready. And not to go into too much detail, but for the last couple of years, it's been something I've been trying to accomplish, and there's no reason why it shouldn't have happened. It's like everything that I would allegedly need in order for it to happen, I had all my ducks in a row, but it still would not happen. And prayed on it and all this other stuff, and vision boards and vision boxes and the whole thing.
Sent out whatever you needed to send out.
So yeah,
I told whoever you needed.
Exactly.
You told whoever you needed to tell in order to get you further to where you
I
needed
did
to
my
be.
part. I wasn't sitting on my ass just waiting for it to happen.
Right.
I was up and doing my part, and it still wasn't. And I could not understand it. And now I'm starting to get it that that's not what God or what the universe wants from me. But it's like doors had to keep closing in my face for me to realize that I'm in the wrong room, or the wrong house, or in the wrong street, and sometimes, we don't look at it, and I still don't know all the answers, and I still don't know what the future holds for me, but I'm starting to, my mind is starting to open up and see that, what, I'm supposed to be over there.
Right, because there's a door open over there
that I don't even know about, because I'm too busy knocking on all these doors and nobody's answering, or somebody will open and be like, nah, son. So the door open for a minute, I'll see a light, like, yeah, it is going to happen, and the door closed. I'm like, what happened? But I have this false, sense of excitement, and then it just makes me depressed, and now I was like, I don't want to do nothing because I keep trying and trying. So, but I think that, and the same thing happens with people, and it's about preparing and keeping your mind open for these things. And I think that's what we fall short, because we have these blinders on, and we're like, this is all I know how to do. This is all I'm good at.
Yeah.
Or this is what I want to do.
Let me ask you a
bad.
question. Did you think about your daily activities? Because they also said that what you do on the daily activities is what your outcome will be. So maybe the thing that door that was open over there is based on your daily activities.
Maybe.
Yeah, because your daily activities also gravitate you to.
That's
true.
You're
spending most of your time doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like that door is going to be open, because it's like, well, but I think you probably thought so what I'm doing, Bailey, doing that. I'm doing that for a different purpose.
Yeah.
So
because I'm doing this to kill time.
Yeah.
This is not where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But maybe that is.
Right.
And maybe I had to have doors closed in my face to allow me to have time to do other things.
Yeah.
And to, create a new craft, or to focus on something else, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Because what I understood from that, what you were saying as well, was when I moved back to California, I had like a job for a very long time. Two different, I had a job in the fashion things. I love fashion, this, that. And at first I liked it, but what I did, I kept holding on to the current job that I have now. And I remember every time I'd walk in, the days I did most of my days in the downtown working for that online fashion company thing. But every time I walked in the door at my second job, it's supposed to be now turned into my second job. I lit up. I felt like I was moving around more, but I always looked at it as, well, it's not paying enough. And it's fun, and it's something someone in their 20s, and I had one woman who actually trained me, that was her career, but I was like, that's an exception. She did that in Pittsburgh, and she and she knows all the people. That's her. And I just was like, that's not a job, that's like a profession.
Yes.
And then I gave up one job because it was like I didn't like it anymore, and I went back to the full-time at the current job. And then I was like, okay, still, this is not my thing. I got to get myself out of here. I'm just going to find something. And I started working for another job, and that seemed to be going really well. But and that also became taxing, and I was doing a lot of stuff, and it was more, the title was really responsible, and I was getting paid a lot. But it was like, the person I was working for was a little bit off and crazy. Yeah. And then I was just like, I felt more happy. And I'm like, but this job is not, I mean, it pays me, but it's not paying me. It's not a career. I can't go around.
Like it's a gig.
Right. And I can't go around saying, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I just surrendered. I surrendered.
That's a good word.
After I was like, okay, I'm not doing,
I want to talk about surrender, because that's a good word, but go ahead.
So I left my second job and stayed with the job that I held on forever, and I surrendered into it, not knowing whether I wanted to do it still, but I like it here, and I said to myself, I'm not going to get another job just because it pays better, and just because if I don't like it. So I said, I'm going to sit here and do this until something else
comes.
Yeah, that's going to charge me in the way this does.
Yeah.
And I did really like it. I like the changing of it. There's not every day it's a little different. I'm interacting with people. It's so difficult, but it's not as bad as I'm not sitting down. I hated sitting down at a desk.
You're able to be mobile.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Right. And so I was offered a different kind of same position. But then a couple months, I stayed in it, didn't even think anything about it, and then I was offered this, position, promotion.
Yeah.
Of, the fact that I've been there and I know the ropes, which is so interesting now. So it moves me into a different place and a different thing, and I don't know where it's going to take me, but now it's like, wow.
Could it be a career?
Exactly. I can probably work this into something.
Because you see, and there's a reason that you never let go of that.
But
let me ask you a question. See, that's the thing. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day about that, and it was another article, and it was talking about the difference between surrender and settle. And what do you think is the difference between the two? Because surrender, this is just, he and I were having a debate, and because the word surrender to me has a negative connotation.
It's a more defeat.
I think of war, and I think of, raising a white flag. Surrender, you win, I give up.
Yeah.
But then he was saying, no.
Yeah.
Surrender is not that.
No, it's not.
It's kind of accepting what it is for a greater good, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to fight no more. I'm going to throw up the tag. So no more, my people died. There's no more damage. I may have lost this battle or this war, but I'm winning something by stopping now.
Yeah.
So settle is the bad word.
Yeah.
So what do you think about settle and surrender? Like the two words?
Yeah, surrender's a little bit more, you're making that choice and you're seeing the situation for what it is. Like you said, you're seeing the situation for what it is, and you are choosing to just kind of let it sit, let it be, like you said, let it be. Settle, it seems like you're kind of like, well, if I have to do this, and it's between this and this, then I might as well do this.
But isn't settling still a choice then? How is that?
You're choosing. You're always choosing. You're always choosing.
So what's the difference? If they're both a choice, what makes surrender different than settle?
I don't know. Surrenders, I don't know. I guess it's giving in. Settle is kind of putting up with something.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I feel like settle
I think it just depends on your take.
Your take on it.
You can be wrong.
Yeah, I think, it depends on how your definition of it. Maybe settle to me is like you're putting up with it. Surrender means...
what? I'm going to look up the definition of settle and see if there's anything that
But I just gave in to, I like it. And I gave in to... I no longer let the stigma of what it was make me feel like it was a bad job. And I also just said I like it and wasn't ashamed of liking it. And for whatever it is.
And that's the thing. It's not what we feel. It's how we feel about how we feel.
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece of it. It's like, it should. Because I think should is the worst word in our vocabulary. Because should is never a positive thing. Because should makes you feel compelled to do something you don't want to do. It ties in with all of these norms, these societal norms, and what, you should get married. You should have kids.
Yeah.
You should be, things that you don't want to do, you don't feel good about, but you so concerned about what other people think, and you just conform to it. I hate that word should. But I think as a big piece of it is about title, it's about where you are in your life, how much money you think you should be earning, where you should be. And, we both live in cities like, New York, LA, where people are very pretentious and very much about who are you, what do you bring to the table. So when you go to somebody and you say, If you go to I'm a cook,
Yeah.
they look at you like you're a cook, like as if you're in the back.
But where are you?
Burgers.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But if you say I'm a sous chef, they look at you completely different.
Right.
When
Title.
you're pretty much doing the same thing.
Exactly.
You know, so it's all about title and presentation. That's why people, you know, they lie or they stretch the truth because they can't say, you know, oh, I'm a janitor. I'm a sanitation maintenance engineer.
Yeah.
You know, they make up shit to make themselves feel better, even though it is what it is. And sometimes people know sometimes, and you can pull the wool over people's eyes. But I think we care too much about what people think and how we're perceived.
Yeah.
So even if we enjoy something, we don't want to admit it because that's like giving in or being, settling.
Yeah.
Okay, it says here, surrender. To agree to stop fighting, hiding, or resisting because you know that you will not win or succeed.
Okay.
To give control or use of something to someone else. To allow something to influence or control you. See, that doesn't sound good. And now, settle means... Get off here, Google. To make a final decision about something. To end something, such as an argument, by reaching an agreement. To resolve.
That sounds a little
sounds
nicer.
better, right?
Yeah.
To resolve or to fix or resolve conclusively. I don't know. Settle don't sound too bad.
No,
but
the word doesn't. The surrender sounds better than settle to me.
Yeah,
but I guess it's all the same.
Maybe surrender has more of a spiritual kind of thing to it, like you like people say you surrender to God. It's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's supposed to be a good thing.
Right.
But I guess it doesn't make a difference what words you use as long as you know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And you're happy with doing it.
Yeah.
But I just stopped doing that, and even I ran into some friend of a friend's 20-year-old stupid idiot that after work one day was like, "So what brought you to LA?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just like the weather, and I had a friend that was living here, I liked it." And she goes, "So what are you doing besides being a hostess?" I'm like, "Nothing. I want to be a hostess." She goes, "Oh, come on."
Wow.
And she looked at me for a very long time and thought I was just doing
waiting for you to say
being
something.
Secretive. And I was like, no.
Wow, that's so
And then so her other friend goes, "Well, she used to dance for a really long time." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I used to be this." Oh, and then of course
now you're better.
Yeah, and then of course her fat ass is like, "Oh, I used to dance." I'm like, "Really? You used to dance?" Not that fat dancers can never gain weight.
Yeah.
But she looked like she was a dancer in her 5th grade or some
in
sort
her
of
recital.
Yeah, her recital. She's one of those. Yeah, she had no posture. That you can tell dancers that are professional dancers,
trained,
and then their dancers like, "Oh, I danced when I was 5."
Yeah.
So I just looked at her like, "Really?" And you're asking me what I do with myself
because that's about them.
Mm-hmm. But I let her do her thing because it's one of those things, like you said, I realize the title or the things to other people may feel like that's a pass along.
Yeah.
But it depends on where you are working and what you're doing as well, because that transcends. A hostess could be a hostess for Applebee's. Not to say that Applebee's is a bad place, and a fine dining. There are different gamuts of
and what you're doing and what else you're doing in the job.
But the job title itself doesn't lend anything. It says you're supposed to be 21, being an actress, and that's what you're doing. It's almost like saying you're a waitress or you're a bartender. And some people love bartending.
Yeah. And bartenders make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I know people now, professional, that they're all about wines and they different beers and breweries and all this other things that they do.
And they're very knowledgeable. Yeah, and they bring a lot to the table.
But their title,
there's bartenders and then there's bartenders.
Yeah, but like I said, their title is just bartending, and because you don't know anything extensive about their background and what they know about, you think they're just pouring drinks.
Yeah, and now some people they call themselves mixologists. They kind of ramp it up. But no, there's a lot to be said about. I mean, every profession, there's people who do things that, even sometimes I'll go into the mall and I'll walk into a Nordstrom or something, and a lot of their salespeople are older. You don't see you'll see young people working at Victoria's Secret and Express and stuff, but in Nordstrom you'll see a lot of older women, women, their 50s, and they take their job seriously, and they're well coiffed and dressed nice, and they're really good at what they do, knowledgeable. But you can tell that these are people who may have been there for 30 years or may just enjoy doing what they do. Or my friend's mother worked in banking for 40 years. Maybe I'm exaggerating. For a long time, she retired, and now she's working at Lord & Taylor part-time.
And that looked like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
now,
doing?
Somebody's probably going to walk in there and be like, this poor lady working for minimum wage.
And she got her bills stacked.
She's good. She just don't want to sit at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she used to be a VP at Chase.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't ever know somebody's story. And maybe she wasn't. And maybe she's only worked at Lord & Taylor her whole life. But maybe she has her 401k and she's set.
Or she's investing. Like,
and she likes it.
Yeah. I've gotten into this investing and like looking. So I know
you can't judge.
Yeah. I need to put my money in other places so it can grow for me and I can still do what I like to do.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah,
but I used to think like that.
I used to think like that as well.
And be like, oh my God, you're 40 and you're doing retail, or I would feel bad for them, judgmental, because I did retail when I was in college. It's not for me, because I'm not a people person like that. But some people, and you go in, and those are the people you appreciate working with, because you can tell they like their job. They're very helpful. They go above and beyond. They're detailed. Like those are the people, like you want that experience from them. I'd rather work with them than the 20-year-old who'd rather be, at the bar.
Yeah, and knows that this is not their end all be all.
And don't give a
So their customer service is not going to be at its best.
We are, so I guess the message here is that we have to get out of this the perception of what other people think of us. Because if you're happy, like if you're not happy in your job and maybe you feel a little
figure out a
to
way
say, then your next thing needs to be like, how do I get out of this? You know what I'm saying? And you may have to suck it up for a year or so until you get to your next thing. But you can't. If you enjoy what you do, or maybe, or you have to look and see what else can I do in this industry, in this arena that'll make me happy. You know what I'm saying? It may be the service industry, but there's a million types of jobs in the service industry, and you have to accept that some things are for you. And that's what I just was like so stuck on corporate America. I'm a business major. I have an MBA. I'm supposed to be sitting in a corner office and making big decisions, and in conference rooms and on teleconference
and in
meetings.
And
in meetings. But real talk. I didn't like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would do it. I could play the part really well, but I would sit in these meetings like, trailing off, thinking of other shit like I want to do. I used to hate that fucking after work, socializing. You got to go to dinner with clients, and, I'm here. It's like 8 o'clock. I'm thinking about my shows that I want to watch, and I'm sitting here with you having a conversation about nothing.
Right.
Smoozing and all this other bullshit. Like, I hated that aspect. The only thing I liked about my job was getting dressed, putting on heels and a skirt and going out and looking cute.
Right.
And, the office and some of the perks are nice, but I did not like the politics, dealing with the people, and just all the bullshit that comes along with corporate America. But I was going hard to try to get back into that because that's all I knew. And I thought that that's who I was supposed to be.
Right.
And when people looked at me, I needed to say that I'm a director, or I'm this, I'm that. And why?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why? But I think sometimes God really has to, force your hand.
Yeah, because it denies you of that and so much, and you're like, I know I'm qualified.
Yeah.
But he's like, that's not what I want you to do.
Exactly. And because he knows you. He knows what makes you happy.
And if you go back into that, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah, I can give it to you.
Yeah, and then you're gonna feel like, well, you're gonna be happy for it for a good 2 years,
while.
And then when you realize, and then when you look up and realize you don't want it, you're gonna probably stick with it because you feel like, well, it's paying the bills again. So you're gonna waste another X amount of years in your life,
and you're right back to where you started
exactly. Trying to get out of it. And he goes, I know you're gonna do that. So
why even? And that's what makes you feel loved. Like I hate when people say I'm highly favored, and whatever, because that's almost to say like God plays favorites. But I do think almost like a coach that has athletes, and coaches are harder on certain athletes and certain people in their team because they see potential in them. It's like if you're at your max and this is the best, football player you're ever going to be, I might just let you be. Like, because you know what? I know James, that's you giving your best, do you. But if I see Phil and I know Phil has got so much more potential, I'm going to ride his ass because like you're right there. I just push you. You can be all-star. You can be whatever. So I'm going to ride you. Phil might be like, why is this dude always on my case? He leaves James alone, but you ride me because he cares about you.
That's so funny you should say that, because at my job before I got that thing, I would see people, or people would walk in and I'd recognize them right away, and I'd be like, Andre Harrell just walked in, like I'd have the manager and be like, because a lot of the girls didn't know who a lot of the people were, so like the people would walk in.
I'm sorry, I just want to stop here so we don't go over and pick it up on the next one.